So, I'm going to discuss two particular trips from the state of Texas to Illinois for Christmas before my biological family moved to the state of Texas. Now, the first trip from Texas to Illinois, I know 1 year flew out of the San Antonio airport, and the other year flew out of the DFW airport. I can't remember which year for each. Both the international airports. And so both of them went to O'Hare in Chicago. So the first time of going through the airport, when going through the checkpoints and stuff like that, the first time I had my son, and he was 3 months old. And went to Illinois. It was a short trip. When going through the checkpoints, my now dead ex-husband was upset because he was pulled off to the side before getting on the airplane. And either 1 year was through United, and then the other year, no, both were American Airlines. Both were through American. And so my son, being 3 months old, he was born the 2nd of September in 2001. So being 3 months old and going through the airport with my son and my now dead ex-husband, when he, meaning my now dead ex-husband, was called off to the side to be checked, he threw a tantrum. And when he was cleared, from them going through, patting him down and all that sort of stuff, he came over to where I was with my son, I mean, biologically his, but anyway, and complained to me. And I looked at him and I said, 9/11 literally happened 3 months ago. And he looked at me and he goes, "What's the big deal?" And I repeated myself. I said, 9/11, the attacks to the Twin Towers, happened 3 months ago. He looks at me and he goes, "What's the big deal?" 9/11 happened 3 months ago. So what? What happened on 9/11? And he said, well, airplanes flew into the Twin Towers. Yeah! Where did the airplanes leave from? The airport. Yeah, they did. They left from an airport. They were commercial airplanes. So, they're going to be doing a whole bunch of extra checks right now. It's the Christmas holiday season. They're going to be doing also, after 9/11 happened when there was no holiday. This is a major travel time. So if you're upset because they're doing their job to make sure that everybody is safe, whatever. Now, I will pause right there to make a little side note and state the reality is my now dead ex-husband had no idea who I spoke with the day of 9/11. He had no idea that when I went to the office that I spoke with the tech sergeant from Lackland Air Force Base. He had no idea that I had discussed things with the USPS mail guy. He had no idea that I spoke with the maintenance guy. He knew I spoke with the females, but in the office, but he had no idea what I spoke about all those topics with in regards to the different individuals. He had no idea what pointers I gave. He had no idea about the discussions we had. He had no idea what I had discussed. He also had no idea about, so when my son, biologically his, had been sick and had to go to Lackland Air Force Base because of a temperature of over 102, being, so it was about a week after 9/11 happened. So I checked him into the emergency room. I think it was the 16th, 17th, or 18th of September in 2001. And so, and then my son was in the pediatric ward. And being an infant and the fact that I breastfed, I made sure to, I couldn't leave anyway, but it was one of those, I made sure to stay there so that he had what he needed. I could take care of him as best as possible. And so while my now dead ex-husband was at school and work and cheating on me, and is what it is, he had no idea who I spoke with when I was in the hospital with my son. He also had no idea who I spoke with when I was hospitalized later because of the infection that had developed because of the delivery aspect. And I held that off as best as I could because my son was more important. And though I could feel certain things that were going on at the time in my body, it was one of those ends. There's other things that need to be taken care of. I mean, not that I don't care about my health, and it's not that I didn't care about my health, but I could do energetic things in certain regards to do what I needed to do to handle certain things to make sure that others were taken care of. And so when it got to the point where after getting all that information, because I did start feeling sick just before my son's temperature. And so it was one of those, okay, I need to focus on my son and make sure my son is okay. But before then, since my son was born on the 2nd of September in 2001, 9/11 happened in September of 2001, spoke with who I needed to speak to, and that tech sergeant and I spoke every day up until when my son was hospitalized. And we spoke after my son got out of the hospital and was discharged and cleared. But when I was hospitalized, there was another week or 2 weeks where we didn't speak that I know of. And afterwards, updated him on other things. So by the time of going to the airport, my now dead ex-husband had no idea about the various topics that I had spoken with, and none of the people that I spoke with. He had no idea. He had no idea about the different discussions. No idea. It was none of his business to begin with anyway. So when at the airport to fly out to Chicago, it was one of those, it was, don't give them an attitude. You don't want to be taken into the room. And he looked at me and he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, you don't want to be taken into the room, so don't give them an attitude. They're just doing their job to keep everybody safe. You don't want to be taken into the room. And he was just like, what room? And I was like, you don't want to find out. I'll just leave it at that. You don't want to find out, so don't give them an attitude. So we go to the check-in for the gate, fly out, whenever we were allowed to board the plane. did what I could to make sure my son didn't, have too many issues, despite my own, as far as the altitude changes so quickly for my headaches and migraines. Again, I had the head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. So 2001, that was my first time flying. Had no idea for the words to explain what was going on. Had no way to put it out there. Nothing. I couldn't. And so I actually wasn't able to explain it until about ready to leave to go to Cozumel for my first oceanic scuba dive. And even then, the words weren't really available for me to speak, to explain in a way that people could understand. So, although one scuba diver definitely got to see what I meant when it came to what I had to do to try to keep myself calm for those altitude changes. And so, whatchamacallit, as well as the airplane itself. And so, get to Chicago. One particular night, I had met up with some people who I had met up, who told me that we had met up during my convalescent leave time. Dee, who lived in the cul-de-sac nearby, and then I think Maria and a few other people, they had told me about certain things that we had discussed at Applebee's. I personally remembered, the only thing I remembered realistically until certain memories did start coming back was the disarming of the male named Danny, who had been chaptered out of the Marine Corps and taken the starter pistol and all that. And then shortly afterwards remembered the thing when it came to Eric, and when finding out about being told about Dan Kenny and that situation, and very upset about that, and then beating up Eric for that because of, well, I told him to stop bullying. Is what it is. Although, I will sidetrack real quick. There was a discussion with one of the females at that particular, I don't know whose house it was, but we had talked about one of the clubs, the dance clubs in Palestine, and I had told them about a male that I had met at the dance club, and I don't remember, I think his name was Ronnie or something like that, and later he had told me that he was rolling when we met, and I had to have that explained to me. What is rolling? What does that mean? And he said, what, you don't do X? And I was like, what is X? And so we that didn't last long because it was like, I don't need to know. Just go away. I don't have patience for that sort of stuff. And he was upset. Ronnie was upset because he wanted to have a relationship, and I was like, I've got my career set out of what I'm going to be doing, and can have a little bit of fun, but I'm about to graduate, and when I graduate, I'm not staying. I'm not staying in Illinois. I'm going to be going and doing all the, well, you could have me go with you. No, you can't go with me to basic training. You can't go with me to AIT. You can't go with me over to Korea when I get stationed in South Korea. So, and from what you're explaining as far as the rolling thing on X, I doubt that the military would be accepting of that. So, no. And so Dee, she went by Dee, she was just like, well, she had wound up meeting him or something like that. I was like, obviously I've moved on. I've been doing quite a few things, so, no offense to that guy, but, I got other things that are far more important than that, and I don't need to be around that. And so she was just like, then she told me that a guy that we knew in Crystal Lake South High School, Jimmy, had been on American Idol. And I was like, I thought I saw him on there. I watched every episode to try to get him, and then the one episode that I couldn't watch because of something that was going on, he wound up not, and so mad. And then Dee Dee was like, well, supposedly Jimmy had gotten a attitude. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And she said that he had acted like he was too good or something like that. I was like, he probably was just busy. Probably. I mean, he also has dealt with quite a bit, Not forgetting that. And, I mean, he did have a cousin that was in Columbine that he lost. Not forgetting how you guys treated him and how he had to have a beard. And they kind of looked at me like, what do you mean? Did you thought he was straight. Oh. Okay. Well then. Yeah, no. And Dee Dee had a big crush on Jimmy, and I was like, yeah, no. Jimmy was about as straight as a crooked arrow. That's how straight, and nothing wrong with that. But you guys seem to think, and Dee Dee was like, oh well, I could have. No, you couldn't. He was born gay. He stayed gay. He's gonna be gay until the day he dies. He has an allergic reaction to vagina. It just. He is as straight as this corner in this example, but yeah, no, no. That's why anytime you complain to me, why doesn't he look at you? I told you because you are missing something that he prefers, and you have something he don't want. Just throwing that out there. You have one thing that is considered acceptable, but it's way too close. Way too close to something that, no. He might be a little, flexible, but not that flexible. And all the other females that were there were completely just, what do you mean you do? And it's like, I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up going to New York. I have met a couple of gay guys. I met a couple of lesbians. I met a couple of drag queens. I met a couple of cross-dressers. I met a couple of stuff. And that's just in New Jersey. That does not include the 5 boroughs. Or Pittsburgh. Or Philadelphia. I've met a few. It just is what it is. You guys do what you gotta do. Just consensual and stay safe. Wrap it up, whatever, That's it. Just is what it is. And they were completely just, what? Now, my now dead ex-husband, listened to that and he looked at me and he goes, what did you just say? And I repeated some of it and he goes, so you know gay people? Yes. I've known a couple gay people, known a couple lesbians, I've known a couple, and go down the same thing again. And he was just, I can't believe you're accepting of that. You mean I just accept them for who they are? And that's a bad thing to you? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. I don't care. And not that I don't care in regards to I don't care about them, but I don't care what they enjoy as adults and consent with others. And my now dead ex-husband said over my dead body that my son will be gay, and I'm like, well, if he turns out to be gay, he turns out to be gay. I don't care as long as he wraps it up. You know, as long as he puts a condom on and keeps himself safe. I don't care. If he turns out to be gay as gay could be and be like, hi, I don't care. I'm still gonna love my son. If he turns out to be straight, I'm gonna love my son and still use a condom. Wrap it up. Don't believe a female if she says she's on birth control. I don't care. No, not unless you put a ring on it and you go down the aisle. I mean, I know it happens beforehand, obviously. But, you know, they just, I'm not saying that's the only reason why, but, you know, get your career going, do your thing, be you, find yourself, don't. And the females were just, what? How can you be so accepting that Jimmy's gay? Did those words come out of my mouth? Those words came out of my mouth. They did. There you go. That's how. And then one of the other females, she had longer brown hair. She looked at me and she was like, you know, I thought that you had a crush on Jimmy. And I was like, he was cute, but that doesn't mean I had a crush on him. Did you ever, like, no. Why did you think I had, because you gave him a hug. Oh, well then I apparently had a crush on a whole bunch of people, if that's the case. If you think that because I give someone a hug, that means I have a crush on them, no. Let me clarify that right now. Just because. So did I give you a hug? Yes. That does not mean I want to sleep with you. Okay? Alright. And so that was, whatever. I don't have patience for this. But I did wind up finding out I really like Jello pudding shots. Though I learned the downfall as far as the headache issues mixed. It took me a while to learn that in full, but yeah, no, that was. And I had enough milk built up in the freezer that I could have just pumped and dumped for like a month, and my son would have still had enough. And so I just, and so going back to that aspect. So then flying back from O'Hare to Texas, again, my now dead ex-husband, he got pulled off to the side and he threw a tantrum, and it's like, don't throw a tantrum. Do not throw a tantrum. Like, I don't know why you think you should, but you shouldn't. Tom. And so everybody boarded on the airplane to go back to Texas, and I think that was the flight where everybody had to deboard. I think that was the particular flight. And, you know, the flight attendant went up and was like, went on the intercom, was like, everybody, you know, leave your stuff on this, that, and the other. And she wound up saying that they didn't do the security check in full, so they needed to make sure that they went through the airplane and the luggage and stuff like that. And you know, people were in the airport, you know, in the gate area, and some people were getting upset. And it's like, there's no need to. I mean, I can understand that, you know, schedules and stuff, but it's been less than 3 months since 9/11 happened. What is wrong with you? Of course the airports are going to change up their security measures. They have to. Explain some stuff, and you don't need to take it out on the flight attendants. You don't need to take it out on the pilot. You don't need to take it out on any of them. They just need to make sure things are squared away and safe. That's it. And, you know, I understand your schedules are going to be what, but, you know, like, would you rather make it to your destination safely, or would you rather not at all? Oh, okay, you'd rather make it to your destination safely? Alright. That's cool. So, you know, you should apologize to the female you just yelled at. And And this one female that was on, because people who have been to airports, you know how the seatings are set up. So she leans back and she goes, "Hey, Mama." And I look at her, I'm like, "Yes." She goes, "Thank you." And I was like, "Oh, what's up?" She goes, "I'm flying out, but I've worked as a flight attendant, I'm on break, and this, that, and the other." I'm like, "Oh." She goes, "You don't," what we deal with it, I'm like, I can't, you know, make up for all, but I do apologize. And she's like, "You know, that's why I'm sitting here calm." I'm like, "Oh, you know, you understand." And we talk for a little bit. And then when getting ready to board the airplane, there were 2 or 3 guys that were called, like, there was I guess probably a TSA guy is what he'd be called now, or he was a U.S. Marshal, whichever. And he gets up in the front area where the gate was that you put, you know, you show them your ticket, and he listed off a bunch of names, and there were 2 or 3, and those guys did not get on the airplane. They were all taken off, and wherever they went, wherever they went. Is what it is. So, the following year, in 2002, my son was a year and 3 months old, and my daughter was 3 months old. I will say, when getting back to whatever airport in the state of Texas, I was like, "So, I think I'm pregnant." And my now dead ex-husband looks at me and goes, "What do you mean?" "I think I'm pregnant." And I was. It was a little early to figure that out, but yeah, I knew I was. I didn't miss my period yet, but I knew I was pregnant. I knew the feeling. And so, that being said, go up to Illinois, and that year was 2 weeks. That was a mistake. It's a big mistake. Huge mistake. Huge. So, again, my now ex-husband, gets pulled off to the side by the TSA, or what they're called now. I don't know if they were called that then, or the marshals, whatever. Not being rude, just whoever it was that did. He got pissy, and it's like, "You need to stop. Like, those guys are just checking." And he's like, "Well, they're treating me to give me terrorists." Well, you know, I mean, they knew what you do with that. Do terrorize me, but that's a whole other bone. And so get up to Illinois, Chicago again, and, you know, go to the house in Crystal Lake, and then my biological mother had gotten a dog named Dakota. Puggle, or frickin', I think it was a puggle, because it was a miniature poodle, and pug mix. The ugliest dog ever. Ugly, and the personality to match how ugly it was. Freaking eyeballs the size of golf balls. Because it looked like, so the body looked like a race car. Like a drag race car where its front legs were shorter than its hind legs, so it's at an angle like that. And then its tail was like here, despite its ass. And it looked like somebody kicked it in its butt, and because of how its legs were, had a curly Q type of tail, and then again with the eyeballs, huge. But then its face looked like it got smashed into a wall because it was flat and ugly dog. It had to turn its body like this in order to go poop. That's like, ugh, such an ugly dog. Well, it was a mean dog too. It wasn't just ugly to look at. It was a mean dog. And there are dogs that are protective. Then there are dogs who are mean. That dog went after my son and my daughter. And I'm not just being a protective mom in that. My son was playing with the toys. Dakota came near him and then went and attacked him. My daughter, who was 3 months old, was doing tummy time, couldn't crawl yet. He went over and attacked my daughter. My biological mother defended the dog. And it always happened when Mike, my biological father, was at work. As a quick side note, that's a little funny. Every day that he'd come back from the house, or to the house from work, he would have the little miniature Oreo cookie packages. And, you know, my son would toddle up and be like, good boy! And biological father, first generation Chinese, kind of looks like a Samoan because of his height, does not look like a typical Chinese guy. Just saying, I'm not being rude, just reality. And I made the joke, it's probably because you grew up eating government food and you were a little bit bigger. Just saying. Not trying to be rude. Just a taller, you know, it's like 6 foot tall. Five boroughs, orphanages and foster care, plus Camden and Newark and Elizabethtown, New Jersey, the 50s and 60s. He was not, no, he would not, those who have met him know exactly what I mean. He was not quiet at all. And so, go and my son toddled on and, oh, good boy. And so every day that Mike got back to the house, he would give my son the cookies, the Oreo cookies, my little cookie monster. My little panda bear cookie monster. And so when we got back to San Antonio and my daughter had an appointment at the pediatric clinic, my son saw an Asian guy sitting off in the corner. He was the only other person in the entire waiting area. And he, you know, goes over, he got cookie. And it's like, no, you aren't. No. He does not have cookies. Go here. No. Grandpa. No, not Grandpa. No, he does not have cookies. It was cute. It was, because it was every day for like 2 weeks straight. Every day, you know. Your cookie. Yeah. So anyway, when Mike was at work, Dakota would attack my children. I'd get into it with my biological mother, and we'd go round and round, and by the 4th or 5th day, I was like, I am going to Chinese food Dakota. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to Chinese food your dog. If you don't keep your dog away from my children, I'm going to Chinese food your dog. And she was like, what is that supposed to mean? I'm going to cook him. We're going to have dinner. It's going to be your dog. That's the math. And she was, oh, you're being mean. No, he is attacking my children. He only attacks my children when I'm not near him because I'm going and pumping to get them milk. And then I have to stop to go up to defend them. And then you want to complain about Dakota being treated meanly, and my children are nowhere near your dog, but your dog goes after my children. Again, my daughter is 3 months old. She can't crawl. Well, your daughter might have looked at him. What? Train your dog better. Put him in the kitchen. I don't care. Put him in... there is no need. So then I do what I could to keep my children away. Second I turned my freaking attention elsewhere, that got to the point. Poof! I punted that dog. A few days later, that dog was still doing it. I'm going at it with Anna, and then that dog made my children bleed. Anna defended the dog. Not only did I punt that dog, I punted that dog. For those who know the house in Illinois, I was near the stairs. The dog was above this area when it face planted in the wall. I was going for the distance. I could have made a field goal in certain. Not that I advocate animal abuse at all, but I was protecting my children. And so, well, I guess I can say I kicked that dog. But it looked like that before I did that, so I'll just... Maybe it didn't hurt as bad. Anyway, so Anna starts crying. Oh, you're so mean to Dakota. Why are you not protecting your grandchildren? What is wrong with you? Well, they're your children. Really? That's the excuse you want to give me? So for everyone, whoever was like, oh, your biological mother can't be that bad. Oh, but they moved to the state of Texas to help you with your children. Bought Dakota with them. And so, go back and forth. My now dead ex-husband comes over and he's like, what's going on? Patricia comes home from wherever she was at. The two of them go up to her room. And then back and forth with Anna, and I'm just like, that's it, I'm done. I'm packing I'm packing everything. I'm not dealing with this at all. You simply could just keep your dog away from my children. And that's because even if I had my children downstairs, because it was a split level house with a basement, Dakota had free reign of the house. She didn't do anything to, they had baby gates. Nope, not gonna put it up because then you couldn't treat your dog better than your grandchildren. And again, for those who didn't believe how bad my childhood was. And so, ironically, the color of Dakota and the size is about the same size of the dog that my biological sister Patricia put in the microwave in New Jersey. It was one of Sonny's Bam Bam and Sandy's puppies that was purchased by someone that Mike and Anna knew. That she did that too. And so that's an irony there. So anyway, I am defending my children to their grandmother to keep her dog away from my children to not attack them. I don't think it takes a head injury to figure out. It's kind of dumb that I'd have to do that. But I did. So I start packing everything. Mike comes back. My son runs up, Cookie! And Anna is in the kitchen crying. And the whole time I was packing, she was crying. And she would do what Anna did. She would cry. What she did was she'd cry in the kitchen. Then, because I was downstairs packing, she'd walk over to the stairs. It was like, I don't care. I don't care. Keep on crying. Get away from me. I'm packing. And then, she walked back over to the kitchen. She sat right by the door that was near the refrigerator. I don't care. Don't care. Don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm packing everything. You're crying. I don't care. I don't care. At all. Irony of the ant with the computer during my cognitive test kind of sounded like Anna crying, but a lower tone in comparison to her voice. Anyway, so Mike is just like, why are you crying? And James is Cookie, and I'm down to come upstairs with all the suitcases and the playpen. Just, I don't care. And James gets the cookie. He runs out. I got cookies. It's like Mike looks at me and goes, what do you do? I'm leaving. I don't care. Your wife is stupid. I'm out of here. And she could be stupid. You are, and me calling you stupid, especially in 2002. 2 years after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. You stupid. You dumb. I don't care you got a master's degree. You got a master's degree in stupidity. That's what you got. And so Mike looks at me and goes, can you put that down? Oh my God, are you carrying all? Yes. I packed everything. You don't have to worry about it. I cleaned up the room. Everything is done. I'm ready to go. Your wife is and then I just went New Jersey. And she was in obviously earshot. I don't care. James is in the corner eating cookies at the dining table. I got cookies. I got cookies. Like, my now dead ex-husband is still upstairs with my biological sister in her bedroom. Yeah. Doesn't take a head injury to figure that out. Which, by the way, they moved her into my old room. I was like, really? Okay, whatever. And so, again, yeah, And they did that as soon as I left for basic training, by the way. I found that out. They moved her into my room the day I left for basic training. And gave her my stuff. But that being said, Mike's like, hey, why don't we go outside and you want a cigarette? Yes, I think it's important for me to get some nicotine right now. Usually, because of the breastfeeding thing, like but I have plenty that I can, no need to worry on that. I filled up your entire freezer with my breast milk, like, and that doesn't include the stuff I brought with us. So, my children are good. Bessie the cow nickname had already been there. And not that I'm just for other references, I guess. And so go outside, he lights up his he's like, it's Pall Mall, no, I don't care, no filter, it works. It works. Before he got a quarter through his cigarette, I was done. Can I have another? Please, may I? And we keep talking, and I explain everything, and he's like, well, she could put up the baby gate. That's what I asked her to do. So then he left the cigarette pack out with me. He's like, just smoke. I'm gonna go talk with her. Yeah, you good. By the time he came back out, well, it's a good thing that he bought it by the carton. It was a fresh pack too. No filters, didn't matter. Done. And so I spoke with it. What did she say? Well, she sounded, yeah, you explained it accurately. Yeah, I know I did. I can't tell a lie, and you know that. Yeah, well, what if she keeps Dakota in the kitchen when, your children are out? Well, you mean like I originally asked her to do multiple days in a row, multiple times each day? Okay. Instead of keeping my children in the playpen the whole time. So that way Dakota can do you and you can keep my children in the playpen. What an idea. So then, that was arranged, and my children, could be children. And then when they went to bed, Dakota could run around. Dakota didn't come near me, that's for certain. Well, one day, Anna says, why don't you take Dakota for a walk? Maybe you can get to know him. Sure. Take the dog for a walk. Go for a walk. The stupid-ass dog went and tried to attack a possum. It's like that will fuck you up. Like, you don't even know. Get over here, stupid. Like, stupid, retarded ass, dumb looking dog. And so then, he tries to go after the possum, and I pull him back. I'm like, all right, you stay here. And so then even right there, stay. When I walk, you walk. And so possum goes on. And when I walked, Dakota walked. And when he finally went to the bathroom, and then he came back over, and I'm like, all right. Looks up at me and is like, yeah, now we can walk. And walk like, take him back, and she bought him a coat. She bought the dog a coat. Has one. I'm pretty certain a dog coat is called a dog coat. I don't think you need to actually buy a coat for a dog, but, they got one that they naturally have. But whatever, what do I know? Fine. She even got the dog shoes. What is wrong with you? Oh, he's delicate little feet. And you care more about that than you do your grandchildren. Huh? Why did I want to leave? Oh, there's a few. So then, go back to the rest of the time there, and I was like, all right, just go, leave. I had everything packed. It's like, let's go. Like, yeah, bye. Bye-bye. Last time I freaking make a trip like that. And then ironically, the next year they moved to the state of Texas. Yeah. Next year they moved. I did. I told them that last year I'm flying up here. Not gonna fly back up here. Not after this situation. I will get a hotel. Not gonna stay in the house. Not gonna. Nope. Not doing that again. Why not? Because my children will both be walking, and I don't want to have to make Chinese food. I will make Chinese food. It'll taste just like chicken. And my biological, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Care about my children. I don't care about your dog. I will cook your dog like Chinese food and I will make it taste like chicken. Ow! My tummy hurts right now. Just in my ocean tattoo. Ow! So, ow! So at that point, go through the airport thing at O'Hare, and then fly back to San Antonio. Well, my now dead ex-husband had my son, because I was taking care of my daughter. I was feeding her at the time, and because I was taking care of my daughter, otherwise both of them were in my lap when I. So, that's the type of, And it was a complaint for him to, take care of my son, which biologically was his son, but nonetheless. So, taking care of my daughter, get back to San Antonio or Fort Worth. I think it was San Antonio for that one that we flew out of. And go back to the house. It was a house. Yes, it was a house at that point, not Songbird Apartments. And, get my children taken care of, put them in their rooms, in their beds, start laundry, all that sort of stuff. My now dead ex-husband looks at me and goes, I can't believe you didn't say that or do anything. Oh, I just carried all of the luggage and the diaper bags and my children in the house and started laundry after feeding them and putting them down for bed, giving them a bath, a shower, all this sort of stuff, brushing their teeth. And what did I not do? I was kind of taking care of a few things, laundry's going, all that. What? And he goes, well, on the airplane. What part? When you were feeding Lydia. It's a little late right now, but what didn't I do? Well, okay, what? Just dealing with the altitude changes, words for now to explain that back then, while taking care of both my children, and then what? You had to hold my son for a few minutes. What? And he said, you should not, because with those who are parents and even grandparents, when children have their diapers on, you get a little booty. I would do that. Pat them on the diaper. I got your booty. They giggle and you got your booty. They do the little baby thing. What about you shouldn't do that and make them smile that way? Why? I like seeing my children smile. So what happened? Well, because my son saw me do that, and obviously had it done in good booty, and he, then he saw me do that with Lydia. Good booty. He wouldn't do that to Lydia, but she'd laugh and giggle, that whole thing when doing tummy time and stuff like that. Plus the sound of the diaper and everything like that. Good booty. And apparently, when Robert was holding my son, a female went to leave to use the restroom, and instead of Robert standing up, getting out of her way, and being chivalrous or a decent human being, he just kind of leaned back and made her, go through that aspect and stuff. Well, James, got your booty. It was a year and 3 months old, and she looked at my now dead ex-husband and, yelled at him and stuff like that. And then at that point in the house, my now dead ex-husband looks at me, you should have defended me against the female. I wasn't doing enough. It's a little late now, and even still, James was, the baby, well, she didn't believe me. Well, you are you, so there is that. And so whatever. And even if James did it, did the female make a sound? And he said, yeah. She said, ow. And I'm like, well, then that wasn't James. So it was either the person in the middle seat who did that, or you. So I'm not going to defend anything because duh. And so later though, at Walmart, and I'm going to end on this particular story. So I had a twin stroller, and the car seat could fit in the part closest to the handles, and then there was the front seat where James could face forward. And so I could keep my eye on my daughter as well as my son. Well, I'm looking at stuff, and there was a female. She was getting something from the bottom shelf, and I see my son's hand go back, and he goes, got your booty, and I'm like, oh. And the female turns around real quick, looks at James, and she goes, oh. And I, of course, I profusely apologize, and I'm like, and she goes, no, I'm a mom. I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm glad you get it. James, we're going to have a talk. When we get back to the house, we're going to have a talk. You're not going to do that. You don't, no. And, I explained it where he could understand, and he didn't do that afterwards. But yeah. But I still don't believe my now dead ex-husband that James did it, because I saw how far his hand went back, and he didn't make any sound when his hand hit her, and it literally, he literally just swiped. It wasn't even an actual hit, so it was either the guy in the middle seat or my now dead ex-husband who did that. Definitely not my son. I know my son. But I did teach him not to do that again, and he never did. No, he did not. He very much was like, I keep my hand to myself. Yeah, you do. You good boy. There's a weird little coinky dink with cavern diving. He'd use cookies. Same thing with cave diving. Use cookies. Just not Oreo cookies.